Candace is going to do a demonstration on the RRS and walk you through a few key aspects. And then at the end, if you guys have questions, we are here to answer those.
I know you'll have questions, right? Yeah. Okay. We can talk about the RRS kind of all day, but I feel like the best way to understand it is just to see it. So I'm logged, oh, it kicked me out. Oh, no, it didn't. I'm just kidding. I'm on the RRS team, and we've been working on this for 4 years. So it's been a long time coming, but we're trying to get it right. So I'm going to walk you through a demo in the test site. And you'll see up here it says RRS test. And that's so I can log in. I have a pretend agent account. And I can submit and use that information on our database side without actually submitting a real application or a real fake application. But I want to show you some of the things Adeline was just talking about. So you'll see this is the site. It's rrs.usace.army.mil. These are the 4 boxes she kept referring to. They did flip-flop them. This used to be the top row, so it doesn't look like it does in our slides. There is a wealth of information here, and I would suggest everybody go check out the site, poke around, just even starting with regulatory program information. There's information about our program, the regulations, there's links to the regulations. You can look at permitting, tells you all about the different types of permits, things that we need. Brooks and Carissa's presentation just a minute ago about complete applications was kind of the foundation of this. I'm sure you've all experienced an RAI from us because our current nationwide application forms, whether they're the 6082, which is a PCN for a general permit, or a 4345, which is a standard permit application, but can be used for most everything. They ask very few questions and don't give a lot of detail. And so we realized there's a lot lacking, and doing it, and not only just being technology, current technology, having the chance to ask these questions with examples, more pointed questions, allowed us to get the information we're looking for a complete application. So in theory, as we all get used to this system, we should start seeing more complete applications. You guys should start seeing less requests for additional information. We'll come back to you for the big stuff, the questions we really need. Filling this out should get you a federally complete application. But I would encourage you to go in, look around. I was thinking about some of the drawings she had. There was a section here that was like, where was it? There's an example of the types of drawings we need. So if you're not sure, if you're new to this business, you can scroll around and find, I can't find it, of course, right now. Oh, permit application drawings, look at me. Here's an example, PDFs of all different types of drawings. So if you need help or you're trying to teach some of the newer folks in your companies, this is a great resource. Send them here, tell them to read up. All right, so outside of that, I will say the public notice page is great. We are trying to migrate away from posting public notices on our district web pages and putting them in this public notice portal, because from here, you can search by district, by topic. If you wanted to search for docs, you could. You can look map views. So this is very, very friendly to finding a public notice. I have been asked several times recently if we can create a listserv from this system, and I've put that to the RRS team. So that might be something that comes in the future, because we do listservs internally from each district, but I think it would be nice if we had it here too. But if you wanted to search by Florida, just to see what's going on in Florida, you can. Now again, like Adeline said, these are active. There are no, once they've gone off their comment period, they're no longer here. But if you click on one, let's see what's going on up here in Pasco County. You can view it. It gives you some really basic information, the project number, when the public notice was issued, when the comment period ends. You can link to the full public notice from here. You can also submit comments from here. And we are encouraging everybody to submit comments in text form. You can submit attachments, that's totally fine, there's an option for it, but it is much easier on our side if you can give us at least a summary of what your attachments say. So there's a plug, public notices on here. They'll probably still be on the district website for the foreseeable future. I don't see that changing right away, but the push is to get them all centralized. All right, now I'm gonna switch to, or away from this, the actual system. Actually, one more plug. The support page is up here at the top or right here. This is a wealth of information. This is the feedback or submitting a ticket to the help desk. And this is a manned help desk. If you get stuck in some portion, you're getting an error, something's not working, they're very responsive. It's the contractor who's helping us to create the website. Send them a message. They will get back to you. If you don't know who your local regulatory office is, this is kind of a help button to find them. Feedback and suggestions. If you're using it, you don't see something, or you wish something was slightly different, send it. The whole adding, sharing ownership between agencies or within agency or consulting firms, that came from feedback. People were like, hey, we love this, but I need to be able to send it from the principal engineer to the environmental scientist. So that is feedback that came from the field. So please don't hesitate. And then outside of some of the stuff we'll talk about today, there's some really great videos that our outreach coordinators put together. If you just want to learn a little bit about the RRS, if you get stuck with aquatic resources, this is very helpful. This is all about starting a new request, and there's one on impacts and mitigation. So this page is really helpful, especially if you get stuck. Don't hesitate to go here and look around. Or call the office if you need help. We can direct you. All right. I was listening to Adeline and I let myself get logged out, but let me log back in. You log in through login.gov. And again, this is our test site. It's not real. It doesn't use the live version of login.gov. It's a fake login.gov. And I have a burner email I use because I don't want to submit a fake application to my real email. All right, paste. And so this is my agent account. And once you're logged in, you can create your profile. You can put all of your information. You can see it's here. If you click on it, you can adjust your profile or log out. But the home page is here, looks exactly the same, except this time you're logged in. You can go to start a new request. You can go to the request page here or your dashboard. And so if I'm you guys and I'm starting a new request, I'm going to go here. And this is new. It says, would you like to start a new request based on an existing RRS project? So if you submitted a JD or wetland delineation through the RRS and you already have it in your system, you can say yes and go in and it'll say okay, and it will actually ask you, what project is it associated with? And I do a lot of demos, so just ignore all of these. But you could pick one, Dave's Goat Farm, and maybe I need to do a standard permit for that because I did a JD before. So once you are in the system and you've started putting applications in through here, if you need to go back and add additional features, you can. So that's new. I'm gonna say no though, because I want to show you how this works. When you get to this Start a New Request page, this is probably one of the most important pages because it defines your project area. And once you've put that in, you cannot change. Just about everything else in the application can be modified, but this directs your project application to where it goes. So once you've put in that information, it says, oh, you're in the Fort Myers AOR in Jacksonville District, and it logs that into our system. If you're on the Georgia-Florida line and maybe it needs to go to Georgia or to the Savannah District for some reason, it will send it to one of the districts and say, you know, who wants to take this project? And usually there's an agreement. No, we don't run into that very often, but it does happen. So it's really important to put in correct information. And I'm just gonna put test SHA. Do you have an existing project number? Yes or no? If you say yes, you can put in your SHA number. If you say no, it's not gonna prompt you. Secondly, putting in the address. You can type it in with physical address or coordinates. You can click on this and get a map and just scroll in. And from here, you can drop a line. Maybe you have a utility line project that's following a roadway. You could absolutely do that. Polygon or point, any of those work. You can also upload a geodatabase. There's some rules here for a geodatabase. So maybe if you're in a larger company or maybe you're tech savvy and you understand GIS and shapefiles and geodatabases, this is great. And I'll show you what it looks like because it puts your defined project area right into here. And then that goes right into our system. So especially some of the bigger projects, more complex ones, I feel like they tend to have more data associated with them. This is a great way to get us really specific outline of your project area.
I have a question from someone online.
Go ahead.
They're asking, is there a time limit for how long an application will remain visible in the portal? For example, when filtering by Florida, the oldest permit, as organized by date of public notice, is from July 15, 2025. Do applications disappear after they are processed?
In public notices or applications? Public notices?
It's for public notices.
Okay, so that's just for public notices?
On the main site, the public notices are only here while they're active. So you'll see they have a date of notice and a date that it ends. Once the evening that it ends, it will drop off and it will no longer be here. If you're looking for something, just call your local office. As far as applications, once you're logged in, those are in your system. Mm-hmm. I'll finish this login and then you will see my dashboard and there's a lot there. And you can see whether they're active, they're withdrawn, they're canceled. Maybe you started one and decided not to do it, you can cancel it. If I didn't answer their question, have them.
They can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do a geodatabase just so you guys can see, but I just want you to know, like, this is really, really simple, plug and play. You can literally drop a dot down here in Bradenton. If you move on, it gives you the lat long. If you use a point, it is not going to give you a project area. So you will be required to put in a project area, just say 10 acres. Anything marked with a red asterisk obviously is required. Anything not, it says optional. Let me delete that. Did that work? Move all. Okay, I just want to show you this as well. I have a fake project we use. It's in South Carolina, but it will work. Watch it not work. That would be my luck. So this is a geodatabase that we created for this particular project as an example for a demo, and it's one we'll use today, so you'll see that. But it is in Jacksonville, or in Charleston District. Beyond that, we're going to say next. And then here, you can see the no permit required. I am in the test system, so it is active. You will see this, but it will be grayed out. And Adeline is right. We pushed it to the test site, asked everybody in the Corps, test it, break it, let us know how it works. And then we had a few people go, oh, found this out. The contractors went ahead and pushed it out, but we said, hold off, don't let anybody do it until we fix a few things. So it's not active yet, but you will be able to use it. It is purely for exemptions, so 404F exemptions and activity-based NPRs. So if you have waters or potential waters on site, you would still need to work with the Corps. This would be more like exactly the example Adeline gave, piling spaced apart in a 404 water, which we would typically not regulate.
Oh,
You-
Candace, do you
Yeah.
have a question?
We have another question.
Okay.
The question is, will there be the ability to submit draft prospectus or ILF documents, preliminary project plans, mitigation plans, construction permit applications, etc., through the RRS? At what point will mitigation bank MBIs and or ILF instruments or documents transition to RRS?
That is in discussion. We have not done it yet. It's on the wish list. Ryan's laughing because we've talked about this a lot. As you guys can imagine, the volume of information that comes in with the mitigation banking prospectus and the mitigation banking instruments is vast. And this was meant to capture the bulk of our activities to make it easier for the public, and mitigation banking is so niche, I would say, niche. It is would like to have, but it's not on the top of the list. So soon.
And for preliminary, if they were referring to, if it's separate from mitigation, sounds like a pre-application meeting.
That you can do.
So if they need to submit preliminary plans to discuss what they're proposing and all that, that should be done through the pre-application request.
Yeah. Yeah, if it is like a project scoping meeting and you're thinking about a mitigation bank, I absolutely think you could do a pre-app or pre-scoping meeting through the RRS and kind of get the ball rolling, but we don't have the capacity to accept those types of documents yet. Just about everything else you can do a delineation report, you can request a jurisdictional determination. If you're doing a jurisdictional determination, we'd ask that you would select both of these because this top one is the one that's going to prompt you to enter the waters information. There's a PCN, which Brooke and Carissa talked about, that's for GPs, nationwide or RGPs or PGPs. And then the 4345, which is typically used for individual permits, standard permits, LOPs, can be used for general permits as well. So I find it's a good catch-all. If you don't know, and there's some information here, but if you don't know, select 4345 and just go from there. And if I say next, it's gonna give me like a summary. This is what you've put in. Are you sure you wanna do this? And I say yes. And it will create an application. Oh, IPAC must be down today. And then you'll see this is exactly what it looks like. The first step is instructions, gives you lots of background information about the types of permits, goes on to describe what we're looking for as you work through the application process. So this first page is nothing but information. You can go down to the bottom and select next, or you can migrate through this like stepper on the side. And so if I just move on, I'm just gonna say use my profile data, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna switch to one that I have already put in here so you guys can see the dashboard as well. As you migrate through these steps, every time you go to the next step, it will save your progress. And as you're moving through, it will be filling out the forms and any appendices that are associated with it. So if you ever get to a point where maybe you want to download your current status and maybe work with your applicant or somebody else in your firm, you can download your draft PDF at any time and it will be filled out to whatever point you're complete. I'm gonna do a switch real quick. Same everything, but this one has more filled out. This is my crazy dashboard. One day yours will probably have a lot of this too. I have, 7 pages of pretend applications. This is the one I set up. Yes. This button allows you to open your request. This is a PDF of your documents. This allows you to upload documents. So I'm going to go back here. And you can see Dave, one of my coworkers, who's kind of the brainchild behind a lot of this, he always likens this to doing your taxes. You have the stepper on the side and it gives you like a green check mark for, hey, you filled this section out, it's good to go. So it's validating as it goes. And then where you have the red one, it's like, I'm not happy. Please go back and work on this section. So last night I went in and kind of plugged in some information so we wouldn't spend too much time doing this. But you simply go through. If you're an agent role like I am, I can save my contact information. You can save information for maybe if you work with different firms regularly, you can save their information. So you can just click a button. You can upload your agent authorization form. This is required. So if you're working on behalf of somebody else, which a lot of you would be, you can download it from right here. You can download a blank one, send it to your applicant, have them sign it, say, yes, John can do all my work for me. Upload it here, it knows, and it's good to go. If you don't do that, it will not let you finish. So you'll have to upload something. It can be, to my knowledge, it can be like wet signature signed or signed like digitally. That's fine too. Right of entry forms. If you're doing a JD, I highly suggest you download a right of entry form and submit that as well. It may or may not be necessary for other ones, but if we're going to be on site, this is always a fail-safe, so I would encourage you. Your applicant, you can add an existing contact or a new one, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. It's just basic contact information. Same thing we ask in our application form. And then it goes on to your project information. This is all information brought in from the beginning where I put in the location, what's the name, is it existing, and then this looks very familiar because it's part of our application. Describe your project. What's the nature of activity? What's the project purpose? But now it has help bubbles. So before people would write like 2 words because it's very vague. What does nature of activity mean? Well, we could tell you, but most other people can't. So now there's help. And so I think as we get using this, we're going to get much, much better, more complete applications. You fill it out, and then from here you can say, what type of permit are you requesting? I'm just going to say a standard permit. If you don't know, you can call the office and talk to somebody, or just put in your best guess. We can always change it on our side. The system is smart enough to know, though, if I select a standard permit here, it is going to ask for adjoining property owners, but if I select a general permit, because it's not required, it will make that green. So it knows whether you need it or not. So it should guide you through pretty seamlessly.
We have another question online.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you are requesting an AJD and a permit, can you do under the same application, or do you have to submit them separately?
You can submit them together now. Before, you could only do one request type. So you could do a JD or an application. I'm 99% sure with the release they just did this past week that went out. For some reason, it's not working in test. I did try it, but test is always a little bit weird. So I will find out for sure and get a firm answer, but you...
Yes, we received a notification that said submit several requests at once. It was deployed on Monday.
Okay.
And it should allow a request to be added to an existing project or allow a project to have multiple requests.
Okay, so it should be active. So yes, you can submit an AJD and a permit application at the same time. I'm gonna switch this to standard permit because I want to show this to you guys.
Thank you.
Sure. Development type, pick what's applicable. Do you have other agency approvals, certificates? I'm just gonna say no. Approximate project start date and end date. We all know everybody wants to start their project tomorrow, but we are not that fast. So maybe give us 3, 6 months, a year, depending on your project. But put in your proposed schedule. That way we know and we can work with that. So try and be as upfront as you can. And how long is it going to take? Is it a quick project or is it going to take you 5 years to complete? That's always really helpful to know. Have you started work? Yes or no? You're going to answer no. And then, please answer no. Section 404, Section 10, Section 103. You heard, I think it was Carissa and Brooke talk about that as well. Again, there's some kind of basic information about the different programs. If you're not sure, again, make your best guess or call the office. If you're doing discharge, it's most likely going to be 404, right? If you're working in navigable or tidal waters, you're going to have Section 10. And again, the system's smart enough to know what that means, and it will ask you questions based on that. So if you're not sure, best guess, and we'll deal with it on our side. And I'll show you right here, like section 404, it's gonna ask me about discharges. But if I get rid of that and go to section 10, it's gonna ask me about dredging.
But you can put both.
But you can put both. You can absolutely put both. You can put all three if you want to. So just, I think, again, growing pains, and as we get used to it, it'll take people a little while to kind of figure out how it works and what their projects apply to, because some people don't understand the regulations as well as the agencies, and that is okay. So we will help kind of guide you through it. I'm just gonna say 404, test material that is clean. Oh, I can't type. Because, all right. Nobody said it had to be a long description, but please give us more than one word. That would be great. Adjoining property owners, again, you can upload, or you cannot upload yet. That is a feature that's coming really soon. Again, feedback from the field. And we know, like, some projects have hundreds of adjoining property owners. So we're gonna have a Excel file. Mosaic's like, yes, yes. We'll have an Excel file option, like a CSV, where you can upload it, and it will have really basic property owner name, address, email, that kind of thing, if you have it. And we will do our standard public notice process with those adjoining property owners. I'll put one in here just in case. No, actually, I won't. I'm not gonna submit this. I think I have some in there. But you see, that's gonna stay red because I'm not filling it out. Other laws and regs. IPAC has been weird lately. If any of you guys use it, you might have realized that too. I have the story behind it. It's really weird, but it is not working right now. This will technically pull an unofficial, official species list. We send the project location you put in the beginning, whether it's a dot, line, polygon, to the IPAC servers. They have an API that we can use. We tell them what we want. It sends us back an official species list. You can't use it that way, but it will be here. And then you can see, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I probably need to make, to address these species. So then we're asking that you guys give us what you know. You may know nothing, and you can say, I have no idea if there's species on my site. That's okay. But if you do, and a lot of you as agents and consultants in this field, you're gonna know. So give us what you know. There's a checkbox here that will list all the species that come from IPAC. You can select them if you know, or maybe you have like a Florida bonneted bat survey that you're submitting. You can select it here too. So it's really helpful. NIMS does not have the same system. We can't ping their server and say, hey, tell us what's here. But we did link to their critical habitat mapper, which is like the CIRA Section 7 map that if you do any ocean marine work, you're probably used to. It's helpful. So if you're not sure, you can click on that. If you don't know, if you're a mom and pop and you have no idea, you can say, I don't know, and that is okay too.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Polygons are always better than points.
Polygons are always better.
Okay, if you can avoid putting points
Yep.
and go the extra mile and put in a polygon, that's way better.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing for historic properties. There's a quick little blurb about it, a help button, and then we ask you to just make a statement. Do you know? I have no clue, or yeah, we're working on a CRAS because we gather there's something out here. Great. National Wild and Scenic Rivers, you basically say yes, no, or I'm not sure. Same for 408, yes, no, or I'm not sure. That comes to us and we can help figure that out. Let's see, aquatic resource inventory. This is everybody's, they either love it or they hate it. When you submit now and you send us an email with a map and a table, we, as project managers, go in and we rewrite all of that stuff into our database. It takes forever sometimes. If you have a large site and you don't have an Excel file or a shape file of some sort that we can upload to our system, we manually enter each water. It is painful, but we do it. Once we did this, we were like, hey, if we could do these in like a bulk upload, wouldn't that be awesome? Because that saves us time and lets us get to our permit review much quicker. So we created a quick guide, and this is sort of helpful. I don't love it, but I'm a peon on this team. There is a geodatabase. You can click this, download a template. It is set up. It has validations built in. You can, basically, if you're familiar with GIS, you just append or copy and paste your data into this geodatabase and then fill out the rest of it.
Question.
We have
Question.
another question. Will there be GIS training available on how to populate the aquatic resource inventory geodatabase template?
Yes, I'm working on a quick guide right now because we do get a lot of questions about this, and it is a little bit finicky. I'll be the first one to admit. I was doing one the other day. I'm like, I don't understand why this isn't working, and I did it. It validated all the fields in ArcPro correctly. I zipped it up, I dropped it in here, and I got, there's no geometries in this folder. And I was like, yes, there are. I put 15 wetlands in there. So it's not just you, and it is a little clunky, and we're trying to figure out why. We've had a few folks who have uploaded 100 plus features in a geodatabase, and occasionally it's timed out. So it is beta, and we are working through that. So if you get stuck here and you do have a large site or you have information, please don't hesitate to use the help button and let them know. Those guys are great, and they will help you, or they will send it to one of us on the team, and we will reach out and get your data in there. But yes, that was a long way of saying I am working on a quick guide, and we are working out some of the bugs, so that should be a little more seamless in the near future. And we may do some training, but I think the quick guide will help a lot. I'm trying to make it really user-friendly, like click here, do this, point and click kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Of course. I'll do one just to show you, because I know this one does usually work. But there is a template here. It's all set up, ready to go. Just download it and then load your features to it. Same for the CSV. If you've worked with us for a while, sometimes if you have a large site, we're like, hey, can you fill out this spreadsheet? Because at least we can then send it to the team and have them upload it. It's not too bad. It's definitely a little more user-friendly than the geodatabase. But if you have a large site, I would definitely suggest that as an option. The only difference is it gives us a centroid. We have like just a lat long point, whereas the geodatabase actually gives us the feature, which is awesome. Let me see. I'm going to load one and let's see if this works. Please work. I just had it. It's just a geodatabase that we copied these waters from the NWI to, and then dropped it on here. And so you can see it automatically maps them out, and it lists them here with all of the information I had populated in that database. So it's really, really easy once you get the hang of doing it. All right, and you can see as I'm going through, it's checking things off as green. You cannot put impacts in until you have an aquatic resource to impact. And that's the same for us. Like if we're doing this behind the scenes like we normally would, our database will not let us put in an impact without telling it what we're impacting. So we're trying to follow that same thought process with you guys. So we're asking like, what are the waters on site? And then what are the impacts to those waters? If there are, obviously there are gonna be at least a few because you're doing this. But you simply, if you've added your waters, add a table, pick the feature, culvert. I'm just making this up as I go, so don't.
Try to make those so they match whatever you put in your application. So if you called it in your plans, if you called it in your plans culvert 1, make sure that you label that one culvert 1.
Yeah, you can do this culvert 1.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll say, and then it will calculate for you. So if we say our stream is 50 feet by 8, it'll do that. All right, so now we have an impact that we're applying for. So obviously after impacts, then we start asking about avoidance and minimization and mitigation. So you get down here, well, I should say here, there's a little section for you to discuss the impacts. That's in our typical application form. Mitigation, same thing. How are you avoiding what's on site? Why are you, impacting these particular areas? And if you need it, how are you compensating for them? You can plug that in. And then from there it says, are you proposing compensatory mitigation? Yes or no? If we say yes, it says, how? Are you doing permitting responsible? Please only do that if you're not in a bank area. Just a plug, right? It takes a lot longer to do permittee responsible mitigation than going to a mitigation bank, as I'm sure you all know. But again, it's plug and play. You just fill it in. What wetland or aquatic resource that you uploaded is your mitigation area. And if I said wetland F, I could put that in and I could say enhancement area 1 on site, and you just fill this out.
Candace,
Yeah,
one question.
yeah.
We have another question.
Oh, yeah.
If your application is greater than 100 megabytes, how do we submit the complete package that could at times be multiple gigabytes?
I'll get to that in just a second. If it's more than 500 megabytes, it's too big for the system. I would say send what you can, and then once it's assigned, reach out to the project manager to send any of the additional attachments, and we can work with you through the SAFE site. But I'll show that here as well. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'll make sure that you don't package everything in one PDF. If, you have different parts of, different like HHDs or mitigation plans or whatever, separate those documents and then could not be on that threshold.
It's 100 megabytes total, or
It's
100 megabytes per
megabytes,
document?
and you'll see it in just a minute. It's 100
Okay.
megabytes per attachment, 500 megabytes total. And that was us trying to limit the use of SAFE. SAFE is great, but it can be a little clunky, and then things expire if we don't get to them in time, and then we're going back to going, hey, I'm so sorry, can you please send it again?
Well, and 100 megabytes might be, there might be a lot of stuff we don't even need.
Exactly.
That's a lot of
It's a lot.
megabytes even for our system.
And Edgar's right,
Yeah.
we are the government, and our computers are not very nice to us sometimes, and they do not like really big PDFs. So I would suggest trying to make it manageable chunks if you can. If you can't, that's when I would probably reach out to the project manager once it's assigned. So I'd give us the basics, and then we can work on that. I think the vast majority of projects and applications coming in, 500 megabytes is probably plenty. And that doesn't include the GDBs and all that stuff. That's purely attachments. Yeah, but we will look at that too in just a minute. I'll show that page.
Thank you.
I'm going to pretend I decided not to do that. I'm going to buy mitigation credits so that I don't have to wait. Remove it, and it's like, are you sure? Yes. Add this. This does talk to rivets. And so if you put in comp MIT and say mitigation bank, if my project is in a bank service area, it will pop up. So it pings rivets and says, hey, here's the project area. Are there banks available? If you say in lieu fee, it'll do the same thing. So it depends on where you are. You would put in your proposed credit amount and then how it was determined. Is it a bank that's acre-based, assessment-based, linear feet-based? That obviously depends on the bank. I'm going to say assessment bank-based because most of ours are. If there is no bank listed, you can just say none. And then we'll move on. And here's the supporting information section. You can see here, there's some information about uploading. It doesn't like characters, so just make sure you read through this. Here, individual files cannot exceed 100 megabytes, total cannot exceed 500 megabytes per save. So if we go here and we just say, yeah, I want to attach something, I'm going to say aerial photos that were taken, come here, I don't know, last Friday. Company drone, because why not? And then you can choose from folder. I think I have something here. We can just upload plans. I didn't say plans, but we'll say plans. Add it, and it's done. You can upload multiples. And again, I think like if you can break it into manageable chunks, that's probably the smarter way to do it. If you can't, do what you can and then hold on to what's left. And once you are assigned a project manager, I would work with them directly. From here, we go to sign, certify, and submit. This essentially is the same thing that's on our current application form saying, hey, Here is all of the things you're committing to. This information is accurate as can be. And you're typing your name here and saying this is your signature, even though you're just typing your name. Now, you can see, because I have a red dot here, ooh, it's doing weird things, it will not let me sign. It wants you to have all of these be green before it will let you sign. And all that will be here is a box. You type your name, you put your date, submit. I don't want to put in adjoining property owners, but I want to show you what this looks like. Once you've submitted, actually, are we okay on time? Because this is always really long. We're okay? Okay, I can do this real quick.
You have about 15 minutes for the next presentation.
This thing's breaking. Candace, not my name, but that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, Maine. Tampa. We'll see if we can make this work. I'm not going to validate it because that is not a real address. This is a test site issue. I've told the guys, they know. It keeps adding my geodatabase twice. So this will not happen to you, hopefully, in the real site. This just started happening last week. I was doing a demo and I was like, I did not put those in there twice. Okay. Everything's green. Gonna go here. All right, so now you can see I'm logged in, and under my agent profile is Candace Wheelahan. It wants me to type it just like that. It will, if I change it, it will not let you. And then when I say submit, it submits. And it sends it directly to our database. And just like sending an email application, we have RPAs, program assistants, who go in and check the box. It's basically like checking an email, and they go, oh, okay, there's some new ones. They check it every day. And our goal is 3-day turnaround. Sometimes we get 50 applications in a day, and it does back up. So I would not swear to 3 days, but I do find it is a bit more timely, wouldn't you say, with the RRS, because it's very simple. In the past, the RPAs would go in, they plug in your contact information, they draw your project boundary, they do all that. Now they just click a button and it says, hey, assign this to Candace, assign this one to Adeline, or to send it to the section chief to review and let them know who to assign it to. Now it says, hey, request submitted. You should get a notification and a status.
The first notification says that it's been submitted and received. And then the second notification is the one that tells you
when it's assigned.
It's been looked at, and so-and-so is going to review it, and their contact information.
If you are doing this and you're watching your dashboard like a hawk, like I would, once it gets to the RPA and they click the button to open it and look at it before it's even assigned, your status will change from submitted to acknowledged. So that's essentially like a read receipt. Hey, somebody's opened this and they've looked at it. It might not have been assigned yet. They might be trying to decide where it needs to go. Obviously, Jamie was talking about we are farming work to other districts because we're that busy, right? So there may be a slight delay when someone's going, okay, we've got these in, maybe we send them to the Trek, or we send them to, I don't know, Sacramento. You'd be surprised who's doing Jacksonville permits right now. Everybody is. So you might see it sit at acknowledged for a few days while they're deciding what to do with it. And then once it's assigned, you will see it will say assigned. So your status will update again, and it will say what the DA project number is, who has it, and how to contact them. And so from there, those are the only statuses we have currently. There are plans to maybe try to make it a little more transparent as it moves through the process, but figuring that out is proving harder than we thought. So that will likely change, but I think if it were me, it would be nice to know, hey, somebody's looked at this, and oh, hey, Candace has my project now. And once it's assigned, you get that email, I get that email, and the applicant gets that email. All three of us get the email and say, hey, now Candace has the project, we know who to call, give me a few days to look at it, right? And then go from there. If you're one of those people who had problems submitting maybe large documents, that's when I would reach out to the PM and say, hey, I couldn't submit a couple of documents to you, can you send me a safe link? And that's how I would attack that kind of issue. You were ready, and you're in the core. What's going on?
I have all the questions. So I've asked a couple of my agents who did not use the RRS system to submit aquatic resources to me through the RRS system so that I don't have to enter them myself.
Smart girl.
Do they come in looking like it's a new application and then have to wait to be assigned to me, or then will they just automatically pop up into my RRS?
If they go to the request page and say, they won't be able to say it's associated with an RRS request if they didn't submit it through the RRS, but once they get here, they can put in the project name and say, yes, it has an existing number. It'll come in here, and then they can do the delineation, like aquatic resource. That will go to the RPA since it didn't initiate in the RRS, but they'll be able to see it has an existing number and you're actively working it. So they should immediately just, send it to you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Another question.
We have another question online.
Okay.
As a consultant, the applicant is usually not the authorized agent filling out the application. Is there a streamlined way in RRS to get our client to sign off on the consultant to act on their behalf as the authorized agent?
Yes, that is in the first page. Let me go back to the one we were just in. On the first, I guess technically it's the second step, the contact information, there is a agent authorization form. You can download it here. If you already have all of your information in the system and you want to download a completed one, you can do this, download a populated one, and it's already got your basic information in it. You can print that, send it, or email it, you don't have to print it, send it to your applicant, have them sign it, and then upload it here. That would be the preferred method.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, could excuse me. Oh, could you come to the microphone? I'm sorry. So the people that are listening online, they can hear you. Thank you.
So typically, almost all of our applications are over 100 megabytes.
Right.
So if I understood you correctly, we should still upload the pieces that we can that fit there?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then how do we let the reviewer know that there's a whole slew of other things coming?
I would upload what you can. So if you have several that are 100 megabytes, maybe you have like your project information, and then maybe plans. Plans are usually large. If you can fit them in, do it. If not, I would maybe, I don't want to say like cut them in half, but if you could, I would break them apart if they won't upload, and not all of them, maybe just one or two, so it comes in, and I would do like the supplemental environmental information that you send along maybe with an application. I would send that, and then as soon as you get assigned a PM, I would just reach out to them directly and say, hey, I have a lot more and it was too big. Can you send me a safe link? And that way they can do that. We've talked about upping it, but for now, we kind of wanted to see like how often are we asked to do a larger upload.
Okay, and
So-
I know we're kind of an unusual case.
Yes, yes.
And then to follow up on that, you mentioned that the email may be going away. So is that for all communication? Because
No, that would just be like the, each office has their individual like permit application email where you would send it directly to, I don't remember what Tampa's is off the top of my
Tampa
head,
Reg.
but Tampa Reg, yes. That will eventually go away. I think headquarters would be like, let's rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. But I think that makes everybody else really nervous because what if, right? So I imagine those will be around for a while. So you could always send something to that if you needed to, or even say I submitted via the RRS, but I need, to submit something here. I don't see that going away for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
But the preference would be to use the RRS.
Okay, I was just talking about for other general communications that it,
Yes,
just things
absolutely.
like that. So
Yeah,
it would stay in
it would
place
be
with it.
going away for application
Gotcha.
submittals.
Okay.
But yeah, if you had general questions, you could send it to that if you don't have PMs.
Even
Okay.
if they remove that, we still have different addresses for the district, which that's when they may tell us to do, to direct everybody to that one email address, which would be monitored by, I don't know, somebody in Jacksonville, and they would filter the questions out to each office.
Okay.
But for the time being, we are keeping those office email boxes, just not for applications.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, and if you can't get us, just call or just start calling, you know. If John doesn't answer, John, where are you?
I know to go where after
Any other questions? Does this make it a little less daunting? It is pretty user-friendly. I will say that it is a little clunky and we are still learning. Submit your feedback if you don't like something or have a suggestion.
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
We find, well, the regulatory request system, kind of like WMIS does, where you can pull permits from other projects or copies of permits, will that eventually be something that we can do? I know you can find some of them online, but
Not yet. Our public-facing ORM is not the best. It's definitely not everything. We have talked about trying to put basic project location points in here. So if you're looking, maybe when you're doing your project location, maybe you could turn on a layer that shows where permits have been issued. But it would be very limited information. So you couldn't like pull the files. You'd still have to request that from the office. And then depending on what it is, potentially FOIA. But if you use the ORM public side and you don't find something, you can always call the office and somebody can help you. But as far as this, it'll potentially be just like a location awareness of projects in the area. And it would just, I imagine, have really basic information.
and then for mitigation, like monitoring reports, would we end up submitting those through RRS eventually, or?
I don't know. We've talked about that. I think it's a great idea if you could just go in and submit, but I don't know if that's going to be part of once it's already, if it's an application that's originated in the RRS, if that will be kind of the crux that makes that happen, and all of the existing ones would just still go to the regular email address. I'm not sure. It's kind of like the mitigation banking application idea. It's been talked about, but we're not quite sure how to handle it. And I think the districts, a lot of them like their process, so trying to figure out if it will be something that is holistic to the whole program versus just letting districts do it individually. So maybe, that's a maybe.
Thank you.
Sure.
There is a feature to go in there and search for jurisdictional determinations, and those you can get the PDF for the jurisdictional determination. For the permits, we may be able to go in there and put all the permits that we have issued for all kinds of places within the state of Florida, and you might just get basic information, but applications and public notices and permits can be provided without a need for a request for like a FOIA request. So if you ever go in there and see that there's a permit that you want for a location where you're working on a new project, call that office within the AOR and they should be able to provide the permit without you having to go through FOIA. Oh, don't. Because you know what, it's actually, it's frustrating when people go to and request a FOIA, like a document via FOIA for something we could have given you.
Yeah.
They have to do something and then they have to send it to me and then I have to give it to them and then they have to give it to you and we have to fill out forms. So public notices, applications, and permits can be provided without a FOIA request. And by all means, contact the offices and we will provide that to you.
Yeah,
Easier.
I would suggest always starting with the
Yes,
office, and I think
definitely.
we'd rather tell you no, go through FOIA,
Yes.
than you go through the process and then us have to go through the process, because
Yeah.
it is not simple. So,
And you get charged, I think.
yeah, and
do
you
a FOIA request.
potentially get charged for it.
I know.
So, any other? Yeah, go ahead. Or come to the mic.
Hi, good
Hi,
morning.
good
Thank you
morning.
for such a wonderful and informative lecture on using the portal.
Sure.
One question I have is, as you work out the kinks of the portal and it continues to evolve, will AI be part of that?
Maybe.
Okay, like I know so far, like when you do the Google search, it will provide you a summary of the results. I was
Yes.
wondering if that's a way it can be incorporated to the portal.
We are considering it. The Department of Defense has several AI platforms that we're working on. We have ChatGPT and Nipper GPT and Ask Sage. Those are all Department of Defense AI platforms. We also have the ability to use some of the publicly available ones. However, the security level that this is at is really high. It's IL level 4, and I think the highest is IL level 5, so you can submit pretty secure data through here. There are some questions about how we manage that with security and inaccurate information. So the idea is that we feed it the regulations that we want it to focus on so that we're not pulling erroneous junk from the internet. But we're just trying to figure out how to do that. So soon, I imagine, I mean, I feel like AI technology is changing like really, really quickly. We're trying to figure out how to use it internally as well. Like here's a perfect example, public notice comments coming through the RRS. I was just working with our contractor on how to read those and then give us summaries of the comments based on how we would write them up in our documents. So it's purely looking at the comments. We have it set to, I can't remember, it's like temperatures where it can elaborate and kind of think for itself, and we're like, we don't want you thinking for yourself. We want you to take the straight comments, summarize them for us, and then organize it in this fashion. We just tested that like a week or two ago, and I was like, wow, where was this when I was doing these huge projects? Because we'd get hundreds or thousands of comments, and going through those would take forever. So again, a long answer for yes, probably in the future, because we're trying to figure out how to make it work for us, how to make it work for the public, but still keep it real and safe. So, thank you. Sure.
Time is
Time,
up.
yeah.
But I want to remind everybody of something. When you log into the RRS, make sure that your web address does not have the word test in it.
Yes.
At the very beginning, we
Yes.
had some consultants help us test it, and I think they kept that address, and they have been using it, and when you submit your application through the test environment,
It
we
does
will
not-
not see that
does not
application.
go to the right
So
place.
make sure that when you log in, it's not an address somebody has given you that may say test on it. It cannot say test.
If you were a tester of the system when it first
Yes.
came out last year, just double check your website, and it will say test environment up in this upper corner.
Yes.
So that's the dead giveaway that, hey, you're in the wrong platform.
Yeah.
It will go to our database, but not the right place in our database.
Yes.
This is purely for us to test things as the developers push it out, and make sure it works before we actually make it a public, put it on the public page. All right, I'm here.
Me too.
Adeline's here. So if you have questions after this, we're happy to chat. If you have questions online, we'll make sure they get answered. Thank you. All right, thanks.